Hello, good morning, and welcome to IMR's rescheduled October webinar, now our November webinar on defect data heat maps and analytics, a powerful combination for achieving zero scrap manufacturing. This presentation is based off the Quantic defect analysis project that was co-funded by the ERDF under Ireland's European Investment Funds programs. Quantic is a software application designed to enable and empower companies to capture, understand, and generate business value from their manufacturing process defect data. This morning, we are joined by Darren McShane, the project manager for the software engineering team in IMR and the project manager for this project. Darren leads a range of projects across areas such as AR/VR applications and web-based developments. He has over 20 years experience in the technology sector with a highly successful track record in delivery and management of enterprise projects and a history of achieving results across the procurement, telecommunications, aviation, and healthcare industries. So without further ado, let's welcome Darren.
Thank you, Gary. Thanks for the introduction. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. So as Gary mentioned, this webinar will focus on the Quantic project. So it was a recent project carried out in the analytics space that employed defect heat maps and analytics to generate meaningful insights for companies, to implement targeted quality initiatives and drive significant business value for those companies as a result. So today I'm going to take you through the background to the Quantic project. I'm going to provide an overview on the basic architecture and the typical implementation within an organization. And I'll also describe two key case studies, then highlighting the outcomes and industry impact potential of this application. So I guess to give you a little bit of background, firstly, the Quantic project arose from what we would have called the IDAF project back a number of years ago with IMR. And that again was a project within the analytics space carried out with a number of companies, manufacturing companies around Ireland. So one of the key outcomes of the IDAF project that resonated with the particular company at the time, which was Grant Engineering, was the concept of a defect heat map, which would show concentrations of defects in particular areas on their assembled products. So we decided with the Quantic project, we decided to take that concept and to say, well, how can we build on that concept to make it more applicable and more generic and more applicable to Irish industry as a whole. You know, we can expand it to suit a wider range of industries. And then we could add some analytics tools then to generate some meaningful insights and create more insightful business value and the like. So coupled with that, then I guess we live in an era of big data. Companies are encountering significant data challenges, and we wanted to try to understand what kind of challenges the companies were facing, and to see if there was something we could do within Quantic then to make that a little easier for the companies. So we engaged with a number of our key industrial partners to understand the constraints that they were experiencing around capturing an analysis of the manufacturing data. We spoke to a wide range of companies, and we distilled the feedback that they gave us down into kind of four main problem statements. The problem statements, firstly, I guess, a lack of structured digitized defect records. That was the first one that arose, really. I suppose the good news arising out of this is that companies are capturing defect records. The problem is that, I guess, a lack of structure as they reported. In a lot of cases, companies were capturing this data in paper format. Other companies were capturing it digitally, but it was being ported into a database, and there was significant overhead required then to pull that information out of the database and generate meaningful insights. So that was a significant challenge. Next, there were companies then that reported having invested in digital means to capture the data, but they had found themselves tied up in kind of into a manufacturing ecosystem then, where they had significant upfront costs to firstly purchase the relevant tools and software to allow them to capture the data. And then they were also tied into ongoing costs associated with support, maintenance, and training, which was, you know, took a significant hit to their bottom line as a result. So they were keen to explore a more generic means to capture that data. Again, limited data visibility was another point that was put forward by the companies, and what again it points back to, you know, defect records being buried within either a folder full of paper, or in some cases then you'd have, as I said, it would be sitting in a database and with limited means to extract it, or would take a significant amount of time to grab the data, make it extract it and make it more meaningful then by way of reports or otherwise that could be shared with management. And then furthermore, there was, I suppose, a lack of awareness around analytics in general, and what improvements that can bring to the insights generated on behalf of companies. So I guess that is an ongoing industry challenge, and one that we're facing every day. So out of the feedback statements shared with you there, basically the Quantic project was born. We partnered up with 4 manufacturing partners from all over Ireland, spread across a range of different scenarios. And we also partnered up then with a commercialization partner, which was IQTech based in Limerick. And those guys were brought on board then to advise us on commercialization of the overall software, and to how to scale it across companies then going forward, how to make it useful and easy to scale it, as we said. We funded the project through an Enterprise Ireland Innovation Partnership project. This was a great means for Irish industry then to fund research activities to boost their competitiveness then in the global market. So for a nominal fee of 10K in this case, and then a further 7.5K's worth of in-kind, companies were able to, is also a promise of time, materials, and equipment that companies make on behalf, that will be invested within the project. So we call that in-kind. And so with that relatively small investment, we were able to leverage a 250K total budget, with 160K of that being funded by Enterprise Ireland, which was a fantastic scenario. So with that budget and with the scope of work that we wanted to achieve, then we arrived at an 18-month duration then for the project itself, with the final completion date arising on the 30th of October, just past there. So in terms of the schedule of the project, then we split it into a series of phases. So we started out with the requirements phase, where we went around to each of the companies. We visited and gathered the relevant information around data and capture and storage, any technological hurdles or constraints, any environmental constraints that they might have, and then to gather the various user stories. So any people who would interact with the software within each of those companies, then we needed to capture their input then to make sure that we were tailoring the software to their needs. So out of those requirements, then we inferred a design, and then we moved ahead to validate that design with each of the companies by way of wireframe prototypes. Once we had those approvals, then we moved into the development phase, where we developed the user interfaces, the software backend, and the analytics engine then, which we integrated together and released an initial release then of the minimum viable prototype then, which was just a very, very cut down version of the software to allow the companies to deploy that onto the line, and that we could gather feedback then based on their experience to tailor the software and optimize it to a final release, which was then released. The first release was in May, the initial prototype, and then moving to a final release then in the beginning of July. So the overall pilot phase then concluded in August, as we said. In terms of the partners that we were working with, then we had Grant Engineering as the lead partner. So Grant manufacture condenser boilers then for the home heating market, and significant exporters of these products within Ireland and across the UK and further abroad. They're based in Burr, County Offaly. We had Combi-Lift up in County Monaghan, who manufacture forklifts then for a huge range of applications, and a huge global exporter. Again, we have Decotech, who manufacture automotive trim products, one of our higher volume partners in this case, based in Westmeath. And we had McHale then, who are a highly successful manufacturer of agricultural equipment. again, exporting globally and based in Ballinrobe, County Mayo. And then we had our commercialization specialist based in Limerick, IQ Tech, who are involved in reverse logistics. And again, they were a commercialization partner in this case. So they brought their experience with their own in-house Blockwork software to advise us on how to scale the product going forward. So the requirements that we arrived at then, in terms of talking to the various companies and understanding what we needed to create then. So firstly, we knew we had to develop a highly customizable application that could be made suitable for a wide range of different manufacturing scenarios. So next, we wanted an integrated analytics tool, which would be capable of outputting generalized KPIs and highlighting any trends and insights then over time. We wanted a high impact visualization of data. So this was our heat map essentially, which would allow for real-time analysis of any defect trends. We needed access then, or rather needed to provide access for companies to an administrator portal, which would allow the designated administrator within each facility to configure the system to their particular manufacturing lines and scenario. It would allow them to tailor the user base then as well to add and remove users as needed. And then also to be able to extract the relevant reports and insights then and use that information then to create targeted improvements. We also needed, or rather the companies needed then a simple operator interface, which was deployed on the line and would allow then the relevant staff then to input the defect information with just a number of simple clicks. Highly visual way to do it, and very, very simple and easy way to implement that solution. And all of this then was, then we utilized a cloud-based Amazon Web Services server, so hosted in the cloud to make it as easy as possible for our companies to implement and to reduce the need for customized hardware or on-site servers and things like that. So from the analytics perspective, then I guess we looked at a lot of the key performance indicators that companies would typically employ in this case. If we give you a couple of examples here, we're looking at, we've got OEE, overall equipment effectiveness, which defines the percentage of manufacturing time that is truly productive. We've got OLE, overall labor effectiveness, which measures the utilization, performance, and quality of the workforce and its impact on productivity. We've got on time and full, which is the percentage of all deliveries that are shipped on time and in full. We have the scrap rate, which evaluates the number of goods produced that become waste due to defects or errors during manufacturing. We've got right first time, which is a measure of how often a manufacturer gets a product assembled correctly without the need for rework to meet their desired specification. And then we've got the defect rate, which is a measure of how many units fail quality testing in-house or in the field. So looking at those key performance indicators, we decided that the highest value, certainly in terms of the Quantic project, was to concentrate on the three on the right-hand side here, which was the scrap rate, right first time, and defect rate. And those are the ones that we implemented within the Quantic project at this time. We talk a little bit just in terms of our design and development approach here towards the software. Then we basically took the various inputs that we gathered as part of the requirements. So user stories, environmental constraints, technology constraints, data, etc. We distilled that into our requirements. We then inferred a design from those requirements, and we approved that design then with the various partners by way of wireframe prototypes before moving on to development. Then validated the development through testing before deploying to the line, and then review the data and so on, all by way of iterating into a optimized software solution then for the partners. In terms of the overall architecture then, as I said before, it was the Quantic application resided within the cloud. It was hosted on an Amazon web server, cloud-based, as we said. The application itself was developed in AngularJS and with a Python-based analytics engine then. So each company, each partner company then access their own instance of the software itself in the cloud, all via a standard web browser. Coupled with that then, both Irish Manufacturing Research and Icotech had access to the software, again, through a web browser. And we also implemented then a Jira-based support portal where we could gather information from each of the partners then in terms of ongoing support issues, any feedback, opportunities for improvement, etc. So all that information then could be captured and acted upon then. So within each production facility then, as we said before, we have kind of a twofold approach to this. So we have our administrator portal, where a designated administrator within the facility itself is responsible for configuring the setup and for viewing the heat map, and that again can be visualized over whatever time range is needed. Furthermore, the graphs and reports can be extracted then from that again via the built-in dashboards that are within the software. Again, that can be measured across various inspection profiles and time ranges and things like that. So a very powerful tool for the administrator to access there. On the other side, then we had the feet on the ground, then basically the people who are actually gathering the relevant defect data on the line. So we've got a operator portal, which is a very, very simplified interface where with just a few clicks, you can scan the relevant product information, pull up a series of images associated with that product, and then log visual defects to the various images, and that information then gets pushed up to the Quantic application, accessible then through the administrator portal. Along with that, then the operator portal also allows for associated pictures, images of defects to be captured on the line using the line side, the mobile tablet. And you can also associate messages with that information also. As well as share that with a targeted group of contacts then as well, all by email. Excuse me. So if we look at the solution itself, how did we make it customizable? How did we approach the concept of making the software customizable across a number of different manufacturing scenarios? So we adopted an approach which led to kind of three separate profiles then being used. So firstly, we had our user profile, and this user profile it's basically just where the users are logged. You can add users, remove users, and you can change their permissions, and you can also associate them with various parts of the manufacturing process then as well. So we move on to our inspection profile. That's really how we configure the system then to adapt to a particular manufacturing profile. So any information relevant to either the inspection stage and the operators that are in use there, and any information relating to data capture and how we track product through the manufacturing process is all configured within that inspection profile also. And then the product profile allows you to capture any information relevant to the product itself. So any of the images that are then called up on the operator profile are stored within this product profile. So that is how we approach that. In terms of the analytics reporting, then we have a series of dashboards built into the software itself, where we can access the relevant KPIs. We can push those out over time as needed. So you can extract the information over a wider time base. And furthermore, you can also extract then the real-time manufacturing data. So everything, all the graphs and reports that are required, as well as insightful kind of trends over time then. So as you can plot data over time and extract meaningful insights from that. In terms of the data visualization, then this is the heat map itself. So the heat map is intended, as we said, it's a high impact visualization of data. It highlights concentrations of defects in key areas. There are multiple views available So as many images as you upload to the system, you can also view the operator can log the defects to those images, and then the administrator can view those images remotely then via the administrator profile. Again, that can be you can view that over time as well, over a wider time range. So you can see with granularity down to days, weeks, months, years, whatever time base you wish to use. Furthermore, you can create PDF reports then with incorporating the heat map and any of the graphs and reports that are there, which can be then uploaded to your ERP system. So if you look at a particular case study, then one of the pilot operations there within Grant Engineering. So as we said, Grant Engineering manufacture a wide variety of condenser boilers for the home heating industry, and they have a state-of-the-art facility based down in Burr, County Offaly. So they employ a combination of robotic welders and a team of highly skilled operatives there to manufacture and assemble their products from the ground up. So for the Quantic project in particular here, we deployed the application to the mild steel and stainless steel areas. And this is where the steel panels are firstly laser cut, they're bent, and then welded into the final products. The operators then perform what they call a leak inspection test. So you can kind of see that on the right-hand side of the image there, where the newly assembled boiler is plumbed up to a pressurized water source, and it's rigorously inspected then to detect any leaks or weeps in the assembly. The Quantic application then is employed at this point to gather information around metrics such as right first time, defect rate, the scrap rate here, and the intention is that Quantic can highlight the trends over time. Typically, that might indicate something like a machine requiring recalibration or periodic maintenance or similar. So that is where we deployed Quantic to Grant. It's a real-world application of it in use, and it has generated significant impact already, which I'll talk to you about very shortly. If we look at the CombiLift scenario then, again, CombiLift manufacture a wide range of forklifts for a variety of applications at their huge facility up in Monaghan. It's again a state-of-the-art facility that they have up there, and they're exporting to a global market of highly specialized applications. So again, Quantic here is employed at both the weld and final assembly stages to assist with gathering any defect information and making this information available in real time. So through this approach, then the cost of rework can be significantly reduced by finding defects at an earlier stage in the production process. The other big win for CombiLift here is in removing the overhead and time lag associated with digitizing what are largely paper-based records and then transcribing them to digital format. So it leaves the quality staff with significantly more time to address targeted quality initiatives in this case. So that is one of the big wins. And again, that has generated significant impact for the CombiLift. So I'll finish just by kind of giving you a quick overview of the impact associated with Quantic itself for each of these operations. So if we look at the Grant Engineering scenario, which I've just described there, so as a direct result of Quantic, we have an employment impact, which is basically jobs created to the tune of about 315,000 euros per annum. And that is largely through taking on further quality staff to implement these quality initiatives and targeted quality improvements that will be generated as a result of the Quantic insights. And then there's a further revenue impact where Grant foresee them per annum. They foresee savings then attributed to reduction defect rates, rework turnaround, and scrap rates, where they have improved their bottom line by 180,000 per annum, what they project. So that's a very good, nearly 500,000 worth of impact in total for that application. If we look at the CombiLift example then, again, we have a significant employment impact of 120,000, which again is down to employment of further quality staff. And the revenue impact in this case is significant, again, purely through an optimization of their manufacturing process with greater visibility in terms of the defect rates and scrap rates, etc. They foresee an impact of 2,340,000 per annum, which is a fantastic result. So definitely excellent impact, excellent revenue potential there generated as a result of the Quantic project. So that concludes my overview of this case. I'm going to hand you back to Gary for any questions they might have. Thank you for listening. Hope I didn't bore you too much, but looking forward to any questions that you might have.
Brilliant stuff. I mean, simply stunning results by the sounds of it, and greatly presented, Dara. So well done on that, and well done to all involved in the project. I think it's fair to say you can now add the Quantic defect analysis project to your highly successful track record of projects list. Did the companies involved have an awareness at how impactful the project would prove to be from the outset?
I think there was certainly an awareness that there was an issue or a problem to be solved, Gary. I suppose the exact revenue impacts were difficult to project at that point. I mean, we knew that there was an issue to be solved, a problem to be solved, so initially, but probably not. It was only when we actually got into solving the problem that they reported that we could kind of see the revenue impacts there. So it has certainly proven to be in excess of what we could have foreseen at the outset, definitely.
Yeah. Did you realize from the offset how impactful the project could be?
Again, I'd say the same. I suppose probably the same response in that we were keen to solve a problem for the partners that were taking part in the project, and we knew that we could generate some significant impact for sure. But again, it was difficult to project without actually involving real life case studies with companies. So it's only by engaging with the various partners that we got the full understanding, I guess, of what was possible there. So,
what were the main challenges that you encountered during the development of the project?
The main challenges, I guess, were probably around the main challenges really were probably a legacy of COVID, in that we had difficulty initially just getting around to each of the partners, physically getting on site. Once we were able to do that and gather the relevant information, I guess, we were working with very, very committed, engaged partners, all of which were doing their absolute best to kind of provide us with the information we needed. So with that information, it was, I guess, it was just to really approve a design that would work for each of the very, across a range of manufacturing scenarios. So I guess that was probably the most significant challenge was that one in particular.
Yeah. And we have another question that's coming here now. Do you have any plans for commercialization of this solution? Many companies may wish to integrate the functionality into their own digital platforms. Have you thought about this?
Yes, so we are engaging on a commercialization platform, commercialization initiative at present. So we are, primarily working with our partner then IQTech on that as well. So we do expect some further details to follow on that particular aspect. So
we're gone over, but there's one left here from Brendan. Looks like a great product. How easy is it to deploy the software on premises? Does it need network connectivity? I'm thinking security concerns. How much data is moved to the cloud? So if you can give a quick answer to that, because we are gone over.
Sure. It's the design brief for the software was to make it as easy as possible to deploy. So minimal hardware required, really. As I said, we took the decision to host it in the cloud so that there was, no need for on-site servers. Typically to deploy it to a manufacturing location, it's really just you need a standard web browser, and then you need web access then on the line, so that the tablet, we adopted a tablet-based approach where the operators are inputting the data via tablet. So therefore they just need Wi-Fi access on the line so that they can input the data, and that gets ported up across via the web up to the cloud-based server then. As I said, each company then has their own instance of the software within that, so it's all fully ring-fenced, so no security concerns from that point of view, and no data is shared between the various respective companies. So So minimal overhead, minimal hardware required. So low cost to implement.
Brilliant. Well, thanks very much, Dara. Thank you all for joining. We will be back soon with another webinar, so keep an eye out on our social media platforms and on your emails for those. Have a good weekend and stay safe.
Thanks, everybody.